Welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had a long journey. I'm your host, Jocelyn, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Hello. Oh man, it's been so long.
It's been so long. Oh my god. It's been, okay, so we recorded our, what was it, episode 104, I guess, right before Christmas. And then we were thinking, because Ryan and I actually were in the same place over New Year's, so we got to spend New Year's Eve together, and I played on the PS4. But yeah, so we got to spend some time together over New Year's, and we were like, oh, we're in the same place. We should totally do a live Gamers In. And then we got together and we were just chilling, playing video games. We're like, do you want a podcast? Nah. Do you want a podcast? Nah.
It's not that we don't like our listeners. It's just that we found, oh wait, in real life we still enjoy each other's company. We should probably just do that.
It was so nice. And I mean, we had the chance to kind of just sit back, relax. I mean, as much as I love doing this show and as much as I love doing Angry Chicken, it was so nice to just kind of like, we did the last Gamers In on the 20th. We did the last Angry Chicken on the 23rd. And then I had like a week and a half of just relaxing, which was so nice. And I just realized that I totally forgot to change the dashboard. So I don't even know what it says we're doing right now on A Move. But Ryan, take it away and tell me how your holidays were while I go and make that little administrative change.
My holidays were pretty fantastic. I did not get any video games per se. I did get video game related swag.
I didn't get video games either, although my brother got me the oh, what do you call it? The Enchanted Fey Dragon and the Brew Pup from WoW for my Christmas present. So I got that bundle. So I got a mount and a pet for my brother. But other than that, no video games. It's so weird.
You know, I think it's because we buy ourselves our own games and people are just sick and tired. Like, okay, what game do you want? And then we give them the exact game. And it's like, it's not really Christmas or gift giving per se if you're just like getting exactly what you want. It's not as fun for either of you. I mean, it's fun for you because you get the game you want, but it's not really fun for the person giving you the gift.
It's like exactly the same as almost like giving a gift certificate. You're just like, oh man, like, thanks, but
Yeah, but I mean, hey, we actually had that conversation on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, and I was like, you know what I wanted and I waited until Christmas? Pokemon. And what did we end up doing? Before you even left, you actually ended up staying later because it's like, I'm downloading Pokemon.
Well, because
this is happening.
I didn't have any Wi-Fi at my parents' house, which was absolutely killer. So I was just like sitting there. I'm like, if I don't do this now, then I'm not going to be able to get Pokemon. So yeah, it was pretty bad.
You know what? It was well deserved, and it was, I guess, our first game of 2014. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
Absolutely.
But no, I got
still editing, so keep going.
No, I know. I heard the click. Oh, this just did. No, still editing. I got a Halo Lego thing. I haven't put it together yet. It still looks pretty cool. It's gonna go right up on my gaming shelf that you guys can't see. But no, I'm just really pumped for 2014 and the looking back at 2013 is really crazy because any game that really came out in the early months, except for BioShock, was kind of like oh, that came out in 2013? Like, I could have sworn that was a long time ago. But no, I just, it was well worth having those couple weeks off just to kind of relax and played a lot of video games. I can't really remember anything specific, but
I mean, I played a ton of video games over the break. I mean, so many. I had everything that I'd purchased, and I mean, I bought a whole bunch of stuff on Steam, not really surprising. But I had a whole bunch of things that I'd purchased kind of throughout the year and hadn't had a chance to play, especially on the 3DS. I played so much on my 3DS, so that was really great to have. But it's such a like stark contrast to the rest of my year. I was going back through because for those of you who don't know, this is our Game of the Year episode on the Gamers Inn. So we're going to be talking about everything that happened in 2013 and give out our awards for all kinds of different categories. So we were originally going to do this on New Year's Eve, but yeah, didn't end up working out. But anyways, so Um, through 2013, I noticed going back through the notes, like, I really have to apologize to everybody and thank you for sticking with this show, because I swear to God, every single week it was like, wow update, Jocelyn's been playing WoW. And I'm just like, oh my freaking God, all I did this year was WoW.
And I will say, you're welcome, listeners. But then they're like, well, I don't know. It was either WoW one week or some stupid Nintendo, please play my Wii U game. It's like, sometimes there was some episodes where it's like, Ryan tries to play the Wii U and Jocelyn continues to play WoW. But I think there was always something in there that
That's
inspired
true.
Conversation. It wasn't just like patch notes and...
I definitely did make sure, and it was kind of a journey, I guess, for me, because coming into WoW so late, I didn't know anything. Everything was new to me. I got to say, oh, today I did this, and this week I did this, and oh, I just discovered Battlegrounds, and, all these kind of experiences that I had over the year. But WoW definitely took up a lot of gaming time up until about September, when it was replaced by another Blizzard property. So there's that.
Right. I was going to say, what game's... Oh, right.
Oh, right. Hearthstone.
Right. Hearthstone holds a special place in my heart, but could we have picked that game for any cat? Like, it's not out yet, but I would consider it out. Should we have had that conversation before we picked all our games?
Totally not say that. Let me just tell you, we get so many, like, even to the point of 1-star reviews in iTunes for The Angry Chicken, because people say, what do you mean? It's not out yet. It's not open beta. So you can't say that because blah.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, I guess technically, even though the both of us are playing it, we couldn't really...
Yes, the game is not out. It is not in open beta, so therefore it does not count.
Send your hate mail to info@theangrychicken.com.
Hey. And that's actually not even the email, so ha!
It's a Gmail address. I don't know. Anyways, no Hearthstone talk from here on out.
Well, there might be a little bit.
That's fine. I was just saying that, just so the 1-star reviewer guy goes away.
So, we're going to jump right into kind of our smaller Game of the Year awards. We've got a whole bunch here, but we're going to save all the really big ones for last. We also have an Elder Scrolls Online beta stress test key to give out, which has to be used this weekend. Is that right?
Yeah. So people will want to add that to their account and jump right in. Which I think the beta is running right now until end of day Sunday.
Yes, I believe that's true. So I didn't have time this weekend to play, and Ryan already has a key from another source. So we're going to give it away to you guys live to the chat room. So anyone who's hanging out, just stick with us to the end of the show. We usually run about an hour, and we are really looking forward to making somebody's day and letting them go play Elder Scrolls Online. So... huzzah! So we're going to kick this off with our surprise hit of 2013. So it's really interesting what we've got picked here. So mine is kind of like a little indie title, and then Ryan is going with the AAA. So dude, why don't you start us off? What is your surprise hit of the year?
This one, even though it was one of my favorite categories to add, because it kind of gives you the ability to give a game that just comes out of nowhere that no one would really award a game of the year. But for me, this game probably could have been a game of the year at somebody's site, not necessarily ours, but at Tomb Raider. I was never a big fan of the Tomb Raider games. It was sort of like just, you play a chick, big boobs, guns. All right, she's British. I'll play for a couple hours. Like, oh, let's move on. This one totally throws that out, and just it was fun. The combat was fluid. The traversal was amazing. Just running around, shooting people. Like, it never really felt like you were sitting still. You were constantly moving. The game was pushing you in so many directions, and the story was really good. Even though the end turns into a sort of like a supernatural Scooby-Doo episode, but ignoring that fact, I mean, it totally surprised me because I've never been into Tomb Raider games, and this one was so good that I'm actually considering repurchasing it at the end of the month to play it on PS4.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was really good.
I know, and I remember everybody saying it was so great, and I know it's great, and now I'm thinking that maybe I need to change one of my picks for later on in the show.
Well, I
own it. I just haven't had a chance yet because wow.
You have to play it. It's okay. It is probably my favorite third-person action game of the year. Um, it it is fun. The character is great. All the other secondary characters aren't that great, but Lara is amazing. The new voice actress is really good, and I cannot wait until the sequel comes out, which I'm sure we'll see at E3. They are fast tracking the shit out of that game. So Nat, if anyone has not played Tomb Raider, prepare to be surprised. But I mean, obviously, you kind of have to like third-person action games. If you don't like third-person action games, this isn't going to change it. But no, just the Metroidvania sense of like the unlockables and the hidden things in the map. Like it was sort of like Batman, where at a certain point you unlock the map and it shows you where all the collectibles are, and you just feel the need to go back and just find them all.
See,
Yeah, it's like Batman. It's great.
I just started playing Assassin's Creed 4, and I feel like it is exactly the same, where it's just like at some point you start to know where stuff is, and you're just like, oh man, now I have to just get everything. And you're like, well, the main story keeps me going this way, but I miss those things back there. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it was sort of the way I felt about the original Batman game when it came out. Like I wasn't really expecting much, and then it just totally blew me out of the water. So my surprise hit.
nice. My surprise hit actually is something that I didn't really hear much about until it came out. And even then, there was just kind of a couple people playing here and there. And then more and more people started talking about it. And it got more and more popular because I didn't actually realize this thing launched all the way back in April. I thought it came out sometime in like August or September because that's kind of when I really started people saying, oh man, I can't put it down. I can't put it down. I love it so much. Don't starve. I played so much of that game and it totally came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard anything about it. I'm not a big, I'm a fan of indie games, but most of the time it takes a lot of my friends playing the games and saying, oh man, this is really good. You got to check it out before I actually get into it. I'm not one of those people that's like scouring the internet looking for indie games. So Don't Starve for me came out of nowhere and was so good and so much fun. I'm so bad at it, but it's so good and so much fun. I never starve. Usually I get my face eaten by various creatures.
Yeah, that they just launched it on PS4.
Yes,
Free,
I saw that.
yeah, free if you have PlayStation Plus. So I played it before it was released in beta, which was in still this year or last year rather, and I decided to jump back in on PS4, and it is a lot of fun. And that game just has this weird sort of roguelike hook, like how long can I survive?
Yeah, and it's all randomly generated. So every single time that you go in with a new character, you get a new world with new monsters and new things to explore and unlock. And it's so interesting. And I mean, the art style is so creepy and fun that it's a total win. So if you haven't played it, go grab it. It's on sale, every Steam sale now, because like I said, it came out back in April. The next one, this is another one that's really interesting where we did the whole like indie versus AAA thing. But our next award this year is for the best story of 2013. So I feel like I'm about to sneeze, so I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. But
I best. Good thing it's a video podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
So, best story of 2013 for me goes to BioShock Infinite. And I wasn't going to give it to BioShock Infinite at first because I was just like, there was a lot of combat. I wanted to know what the story was, but that kind of messed with me. And so I was just like, man, I don't know. And then I remembered the ending. And then I was like, oh yeah, and then and then we did this, and then that happened, and then I was like, oh yeah, that was a really, really good story.
It was a very close second. It was tough. It was a toss-up for me. I loved the story in BioShock. I just I kind of felt like it had pockets of greatness. Or no, sorry. It was really great, and it had pockets of sort of like meh.
Yes.
Or not meh. I hate when people do that.
But pockets of stuff that wasn't as good.
Yeah,
I do that all the time.
I as long as you can back it up and you don't just say meh and move on, that's fine. I can allow that. That's why I shouldn't have stopped myself. But yeah, there were just pockets of it that were kind of loose, but I think um, the reason it is so great is at the end. It's sort of just everything just kind of it all just
Mm-hmm.
works, and but yeah,
Well, and I
no,
mean,
I
like,
really
it was
get it.
just, it was so interesting because, I mean, there were just so many different, and again, most of it comes in at the end. So if you haven't played all the way to the end, then stop listening for the next, like, 2 minutes and
Right.
also go finish that freaking game. Anyways, so
Mm.
in the end, in Bioshock, I mean, you've got all these different twists and turns, and some of it's hard to keep up with, but it keeps you thinking about it. There were so many discussions on, forums and articles written and just everything around the ending. You've got heroes that turn out to be villains and villains who turn out to be these like tragic characters, and like all of these different things just play together into this super awesome, amazing ending. And it
Yeah.
was just so worth it. It just, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yes. And
Yeah.
the one that you picked was
Yeah.
actually the other one that I was kind of toying with. There were two or three of the ones that I played that I was kind of like, oh, maybe. And the one that you picked was one of them, and also The Wolf Among Us was another one because I really enjoyed that one.
Oh,
And
yeah. I
again, that
mean,
one's not finished, so it's
no.
kind of hard to give an award like Best Story to Wolf Among Us because it's not finished. But the one that you picked is, drumroll,
Yeah. Gone Home.
yes.
Um, and again, like best story is kind of a weird category because it's like it's really the person's opinion rather than like whether the story was really good. Like I could say like Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds was the best story. It was certainly one of the best Zelda stories, but
Mm-hmm.
I think like just like last year we felt really um pressured to pick a specific game. We went with Walking Dead because it's like, well, it was certainly the most engaging and popular story of the
Mm-hmm.
year, and I think with BioShock and Gone Home, those were the two big ones. I went with Gone Home because it was different.
Hmm.
It's a story I'd never experienced before. It wasn't as shocking as BioShock Infinite.
Although, I mean, I would argue that there were definitely points, and if you missed it, you can go back and listen to
Mm.
our spoiler cast about Gone Home, which I believe was episode 103. Um, or maybe it was 104. I can't remember now.
It was, yeah, it was just before Christmas,
Yeah, so I
and
think it was episode 103. So if you guys want to go back and listen to our spoiler cast about Gone Home, there are definitely some different themes, some shocking themes, some things that definitely made you think about it after it was over. And, and as I mentioned in the show, it like I had goosebumps and I was in like cold sweats the whole time. Like I was scared
well,
the whole time. But not
yeah.
in an upsetting, uncomfortable way, in a like excited anticipation type way.
hmm it's another one of those games that you just felt like you had to keep playing.
Yes.
And every part of that game, like every part of the story, was just really well written, and I didn't have any real issues with any part of the story. And I enjoyed where it went, even though every story is predictable. You don't want it to be like wildly shocking, just so it's not predictable. But
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed every aspect of it. I wasn't upset that they didn't go in a particular
Mm-hmm.
direction. And again, it gets one extra nod just because it's different. It's
Mm-hmm.
something a story I've never experienced before.
Yeah. Which kind of leads really, really well into our favorite moment of 2013, which we have the same one, which is so
Yeah.
funny because for those of you who may potentially be new to the Gamers Inn, as I know we do have a lot of new listeners coming in
Yeah.
right now, as part of being part of A Move and part of being part of myself being part of the Angry Chicken, we've had an influx of listeners lately. And so for those of you that are new to the Gamers Inn, we don't actually agree very often. Ryan and
Which,
I tend to butt heads.
if we did agree on everything, this would be a boring show. I mean,
Absolutely.
everyone's
Absolutely.
gotta agree with us there.
So, yeah, we do actually agree on our favorite moment, which is the
Mm.
ending of Bioshock Infinite. Specifically, I loved the kind of throwback when you go down to Rapture. I thought that was awesome. And I'm not talking about the DLC. I mean, like, the actual ending of the original.
Yeah, and it's something that you don't, and really mine is that moment to the
To
end
the end,
credits.
yeah.
Even the portion after the end credits, like really, that moment was the kickoff to, again, like just the spinning you. It's like you were sitting in a wheelchair or wheelie chair, and they were just spinning you. Not a wheelchair. That would be awful. Please do not spin people who are in wheelchairs unless they ask. I mean, maybe that's fun. I'm just saying that that moment was a surprise, and it was like kind of it put you on edge, like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Where am I want to explore. And then it was moment after moment of what is going on. Oh my god, what's happening?
All
And
of the lighthouses.
yeah, and again, really, these games, uh, you can tell we enjoy them a lot because we have spoiler episodes for each one of these. Gone Home, Bioshock, not Don't Starve. It's really hard to have a spoiler cast
Yeah.
about Don't Starve. Just look at the wikis, you'll be fine. Yeah, and the ending was something that we just like. It was a forum thumper. You had to get in the forums and see what was going on, what people's theories were. And you mentioned the Rapture DLC, like it. That wasn't as shocking, right? Because it was like there was a marketing build up. It wasn't like you downloaded the DLC and surprise, you're going to Rapture. In this, it was totally caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And it was so great.
Yeah, absolutely. So the most addictive game of 2013 is our next award. And this one is one Ryan and I were discussing before the show. I didn't actually play in 2013, but it was released in 2013. I bought this when I was at Ryan's on New Year's. So for me, it's Pokemon. I have been playing it almost nonstop. I switched back to Zelda only today. So basically, I've had about 2 weeks of solid Pokemon. Like, I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, if anybody was to give you shit, I'd just say, like, listen, guys, if it wasn't this, she was gonna pick like Pokemon in World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
so
it was really
either
one
way,
or the
it was
other.
gonna be Pokemon. So
Although
at least
technically, Battle Pets didn't come out in 2013, so I can't. That doesn't count.
but did it not hit its stride in 2013?
Well, that's true.
It's true. No, Pokemon's a great pick, and it did come out. You played it close enough to 2013.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's gonna cut hairs here. And I this was also a really tough category for me, especially because I like to jump around.
Yes.
And yes, right. No, again, it's on my list of goals for 2014. Don't jump around so much. Listen to the song. Just don't jump around. Yeah, Pokemon's a great pick, and I know it's going to probably be like my next couple months on the 3DS for sure. And you had said that you're like level 36, like guys, and you've only got one badge.
Yeah.
Like, guys still listen to you. Isn't the first badge like only obey up to level 30? Or is it 50?
No, I think it's 30.
Oh wow.
I don't know. The only one that I have that's higher than level 30 is my original Pokemon. So I wonder if there's some sort of thing where, because you are given Pokemon at the beginning, then you're given another one when you meet the professor. So I wonder if there's some sort of like special relationship or something, because I always battle with that Pokemon. So I wonder if there's something where they'll listen to you no matter what, like Ash and Pikachu from the cartoon.
Right, maybe. That's actually probably,
because
Pokemon.
nobody else, none of my other Pokemons are that high of a level, but but it's a lot of fun. What I had been doing is going around and trying to collect them all. So I didn't want to move on from that area until I had them all, and then I realized that I can't actually find them all. You have to evolve them. And then I was just like, oh man, this is so much work. And then I kind of fell off a little bit. But when I say I fell off a little bit, I mean, after 4 hours, I put the 3DS down and then took a break.
And then 15 minutes later, you're like, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Yeah. So I'm moving forward with the story now, as opposed to, because I just figured out, I've never played a Pokemon game before. So I just figured out that you can use your Pokemon abilities when you're out in the world. I thought you could only use them in a battle. So now I'm learning how to like destroy rocks and attract Pokemon and, all these other kind of abilities that some of my Pokemon have. I'm just like, oh, now I can do stuff. And it opens up so much more of the game. So, but I do have to finish Zelda because we actually have somebody coming on the show in 2 weeks' time. John Marshall he's Icon Master on Twitter. He's from episode 15, way back when we reviewed Skyward Sword. He is fantastic, and he is coming back to join us in 2 weeks, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, so I have to drop Pokemon no matter how addicted I am. What about you, Ryan? What was addictive for you this year?
Like I said, this is a tough one for me, and a game I remember being addicted to was Papers, Please. And the reason I chose it, there's a lot of addicting games, really. Like any iOS game you could probably pick. Like there was a lot of them that you just would play nonstop, but you would always drop them in a I don't want to play this anymore.
That's what happened to me with Plants vs. Zombies. That's why there is not an iOS game as most addictive for me, because Plants vs. Zombies and their paywalls ruined it for me.
Yeah, and I mean, like Tiny Death Star I've been playing, and even then it's like it just turns into a chore. So I mean, most addictive shouldn't be like you get the shakes and you have to play even though it sucks. But Papers, Please was one of those games I played the beta, instantly hooked on the mechanics of it. And I think the reason it's so shocking that it's most addictive is that it is a simulator of you at a border crossing.
Right.
It's the weirdest sort of concept for a game, and I remember getting my buddies into it, and they were like totally confused. Like, wait, you're a border cross? It's a border cross simulator? It's like, yes, it is. And like three university guys just huddled around a computer, like, oh my God, scan him. Oh, he's naked. No, he's not a man. He's a female. Look, there's boobs. There's no penis. Like, this is actual conversations that you have in this game. You scan people's bodies, and it is not safe for work. It's just really great. And and again, like Don't Starve, it'll be on sale on Steam a lot, and you owe yourself to pick it up.
I know. I've heard you're not the first person that I've heard to say Papers, Please is actually better than I thought, or really addicting, or I can't put it down. So,
and the music's really great too. Yeah, it's just all in all, it's a really cool indie game, and it is quite addictive because it's just you're completing the same task, but they add an extra layer each turn, and it just gets so complex at a good rate. So yeah.
So the next category that we've got here is best multiplayer, and I kind of struggle with this category because I was going to pick the same thing that you picked here. Again, weird, but
well, not weird, because multiplayer is, it requires more than one person, right?
That is true. So if we both enjoyed the same thing, we play together all the time. So I mean, So anyways, for me, I picked this game up. It came out in late 2012, so it's not technically a 2013 title, but I didn't pick it up till 2013, and I really got into the multiplayer this year, and it's more so that I enjoy the way they do multiplayer. It's not like Mass Effect where it's co-op, but you have missions and it's the same sort of arena over and over. It's not the same as the one that Ryan picked because it's not a strategy type thing. It's where you are in a co-op situation to get through the main storyline. So I picked Borderlands 2. Although if we have to stick to released in 2013 titles, then I totally agree with you, Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, I mean, this was again another tough category because it's like, well, what games did I play multiplayer that I thoroughly enjoyed, and the time we spent.
I didn't play anything. Everything I played was single player. I played WoW, which is obviously multiplayer. I played Borderlands 2, and I played Heart of the Swarm, and I was looking at everything else. See, I made a list. It's kind of hard to see, but anyways, I made a list of all the things I played, which was not very many things, and none of them, except for StarCraft 2, WoW, and Borderlands are actually multiplayer games. Everything else is these single player, a lot of it's story-based titles. So this category was really hard for me this year. I felt like it was easier last year, although last year we had Mass Effect 3 and we couldn't get enough of that.
Yeah, there wasn't that Mass Effect 3 multiplayer game, and I think we won't really see that until another big PC title comes out, or when we both have next gen systems that'll have a good multiplayer game. It's just, I remember both games, Heart of the Swarm and Borderlands 2, like the time played together, it was just fun. And comp stomping in Heart of the Swarm, or just dying constantly in Borderlands 2 because someone runs ahead or someone is just like And the level counts, like I was always a little higher and Jocelyn was always a little lower, and Joel and Paul were sort of in the middle there. So like all the monsters were geared to us. So if Jocelyn just stuck her head out just a little too much longer than she should have, it'd be like GIS gamers down, GIS gamers down.
It
So
wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
no,
It
I'm just
wasn't
saying
Mass
we're keeping the
Effect
dream
bad.
alive. We're keeping the dream alive. No, but
It-
it wasn't Mass Effect bad. You're right.
Yeah, no, it's Borderlands 2 for me definitely did it, but Heart of the Swarm playing against like I think probably my favorite was all being on Skype together or all being in Vent together and doing a 2v2 and being able to get like you can hear the other team but at the same time you can't actually strategize out loud, so sometimes it's just like perfectly silent and then all of a sudden you'll be like, God damn it, sir, God, Ryan.
Yeah, or like you just hear the clicking and then Justin's like, Joel and Ryan are planning. Joel and Ryan are planning. Yeah, see that like I really enjoyed that, and it was like any other multiplayer game where you stop consistently doing it and then you move on to something else and there's just another multiplayer game that you're playing. But you know what? I'm looking forward to the next big addition to StarCraft 2 so we can get back into that. For
Absolutely. Which kind of brings us to one that I have a pick for. I didn't have a pick for it last year because last year, I mean, in general, I'm not huge into music and soundtracks. I really enjoy music when I'm in the game, but I don't generally listen to music from a game outside of the game. Some of there's exceptions to that. I really like the Zelda Symphony CD, but at the same time, like I'm not a big soundtrack person. So last year I just kind of copped out and said Mists of Pandaria because the music in Mists of Pandaria is legitimately good. But this year I went with Assassin's Creed 4 because man, that soundtrack is good. And it's not even just like the big epic music, which is awesome, but then they have all the sea shanties and everything else. Like it's a really, really, really good, well-rounded soundtrack.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed soundtracks have always been really good. They're done by they might have been done in the past by the guys who did the Darksider soundtracks. So and those were really good as well.
Those are also good, yeah.
And this joke all you want, the sea shanties, they sounds dumb on paper, but when you're like traveling the seas and your guys just start singing and you can control it like a playlist or even tell them to shut up.
I don't think Joel knows how to tell them to shut up because for the longest time he only had one. So they just sang the same one over and over and over again. And they're like a minute long maybe? So it's just the same thing over and over and over again. So I'll have to tell him that he can actually pick them and then he can tell them to be quiet because I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it's those sea shanties, man. They're so good.
So what about you? What are you? Because Ryan is much more of a music guy than I am. You always get the collector's editions or whatever so that you can get the free soundtracks. So what for you was the best this year?
This one is kind of an annoying pick because I have yet to find the soundtrack. Nintendo is ruthless when it comes to their music. They make such great tunes, yet they refuse to sell it to me. It's like a really bad drug dealer. You don't even know what you're doing. Well, that actually works a lot with what Nintendo's doing. Anyways, Super Mario 3D World, great game, but the music is just amazing. It's most of it is orchestral, and it really just takes. Imagine taking every Mario game ever made, platformer, not those shitty Tetris clones, throwing it into a pot, mixing it up, and just picking the best Mario tunes out, remixing them, and making them with an orchestra, and you've got the soundtrack to this game. And they have gone through, like, here's a little spoiler for you guys of music in this game. There is one level that takes the Super Mario 3D Land tune, and you in order to unlock that level, you have to play for 10 hours to unlock all the stars, all the goalposts, all the stamps, and you get this world, and it has this amazing track redone. And I have looked into it. The soundtrack is being released to Club Nintendo in Japan only. And I'm like, damn it.
So you have to move to Japan then.
Yeah, that or wait until they wise up and sell it. Like, this is the problem with Nintendo. Just put it on iTunes. Come on, man. No, it's just really great. And I mean, Nintendo always does great music. I mean, a close second would have been, if not for being on the 3DS and being limited by the hardware, would have been A Link Between Worlds, because that has great music as well.
It does, yeah. Well, although I'm not experiencing the music to Link Between Worlds that much because I generally play it on silent because I'm usually around other people on the bus, or like I'm sitting on the couch while Joel plays another game, then I'm just sitting there playing on my 3DS. So I actually have the sound turned off on most of my 3DS games. I started having the sound on in Animal Crossing, and I was just like, that lasted for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, and I was just like, okay, there's only so much like that you can take before you just want to, like, I don't know, strangle somebody with a shoelace.
Yeah, and that is a feature in this one now. I mean, you have to unlock the golden shoelace, but no, that if there's one 3DS game you should be playing with the sound on, it's definitely A Link Between Worlds, and you should experience that before our episode with John, because he'll probably say the same thing. And the last thing you need is me and John agreeing.
I know. Then I'll be in some serious trouble. So, what did you think was the best DLC this year? Because, I mean, I really struggled with this again because of my just play this year. I wasn't playing anything that had DLC. Like, I mean, the one that I ended up picking, I didn't actually even play. I have reasons that I picked it, but I didn't play it. So, why don't you go first?
Okay, let me warn everybody, this is the last time you'll hear about Mass Effect 3, because Citadel did come out this year in March.
It did.
Hard to believe, but that was just...
Which is why I didn't play it, because BioShock also came out at the same time, and I couldn't.
And play Citadel? Oh, it's really a love letter to everybody who played the first 3 Mass Effects. It's not cutting room floor DLC. It's not secondary team DLC. It is straight up Mass Effect 3 team building a DLC, and it's like 4 gigs. It's double the size that Microsoft would have allowed, and it's just jam packed with a great, and it's not like a continuation. It's not a side story. It's not it is a side story. It's not like a sort of lore story. It's like a great sidebar Star Trek episode, where it's a great episode, but it has no bearing on anything in the lore. It's so great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great send off. Like, I mean, the game ends with a party. You have a party for at least 3 hours in the game as you're playing, and that is a great send off to all these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
good. The one that I went with is Burial at Sea, and 2 reasons. First of all, I am a huge BioShock fan. I loved Rapture. I really enjoyed Infinite, but I thought it was a little bit more bright and shiny as opposed to kind of the down and dirty that I was used to with the BioShock series, at least for about the first half of it. BioShock is normally really dark and weird and angry, and it turns that way, but it takes a while to get there. So the feel of BioShock Infinite was just not quite what I wanted for the first little bit. So Rapture just has this kind of special place in my heart. I just love being in that space. So the return to Rapture in the engine for Infinite is just, I mean, I again didn't actually play it, but I mean, I saw all the trailers and everything else and all the discussion around it, and specifically the kind of, they almost went the complete opposite to the way that they did Infinite, because in Infinite you had a really strong focus on the combat. You were always fighting. And in Rapture, or in Burial at Sea, they kind of moved away from that, and there was no combat for the longest time in the DLC. You had to kind of walk around and talk to people and find out what's going on, and it was almost like a stealthy type of a DLC, which I thought was really interesting in the Infinite universe, to kind of flip a game on its head like that, as well as going back to a part of the universe that I love so much. So that's why it got my pick. And again, I didn't, because I knew it was going to be down to Burial at Sea and Citadel, and I didn't actually play either one of them, and I was like, well, you know what, I have to give it to BioShock.
It's definitely, it's well picked, even if you didn't play it. Like, I played through it, and
you
you're
played
best
through
off
everything,
waiting.
dude. I don't know how you slept in 2013. You played everything. You're like, oh, that random indie title no one else has heard of? Played it.
Okay, sleep may not have suffered, but things did suffer. I mean,
The
not my
wallet.
relationship, not my work. No, well, my wallet did, yes, but I mean, personal projects, stuff like that. It just, I'm changing that in 2014. You heard it here first. Even though January looks crazy, but I did have a week off in there, so cut me some slack. Now, Burial at Sea is great, and you're better off waiting till the second part comes out in March, anyways.
Yeah.
Now that you've waited this long,
Might as well.
that one's another one of those forum visiting pieces of content where you're just like, wow, getting in there and trying to figure out what's going on.
That was Ryan rapidly typing for those of you that are listening to the those of yous. Those of you who are listening to the audio stream.
I'm not allowed to type when we do the show because it sounds like that. It sounds like,
That brings us to our last category of the first part of our Game of the Year awards. We're going to break for a quick Doghouse break, but first, Newsmaker of the Year. Now, I can't believe that we picked different things here, although, I mean, I can kind of see what you're talking about, but I went with something a little bit earlier on in the year. I went with SimCity, because we heard about that for months, and when everybody else mess something up, they're like, well, at least it's not another SimCity. It could be worse. It could be SimCity. So, I mean, we heard about it in terms of actual SimCity, and then we continued to hear about it as there were comparisons drawn throughout the rest of the year. So, for me, Newsmaker of the Year, hands down, SimCity. What about you?
I went with Xbone. Not Xbone released now. Don't get me wrong, Microsoft, you've made a great console. It's out there. It's doing well, whatever. But when it was announced in comparison to what the PS4 came out you have your TV, sports, Call of Duty, Infamous joke. Mm-hmm. And obviously the guy was like, oh, deal with it. It's online. It was such... new consoles dominate the news, yes. It would have been easy to pick Xbone even if it weren't for them fucking up the beginning. But just the fact that it was just so royally messed up, and there was a new headline every couple weeks of some executive saying something stupid, or even the big shift, dropping all the DRM and getting rid of family
true.
Share,
I did forget about that big kind of reversal of what they were talking about. So
and it was
good
it was May to end of summer, that whole span of just Microsoft, what are you doing? And they just squeaked it out at the end. Nobody knew. I mean, Major Nelson, the poor man, sitting there on Twitter just crying himself to sleep. What have I done?
That man definitely had the hardest job in gaming over the summer.
Yeah.
So I just want to take a quick break here and say that Ryan and I really appreciate your continued support of our show, along with the support of our fabulous sponsor, Doghouse Systems. You can use the code TheGamersIn to double your RAM when you purchase a new gaming rig. So head on over to doghousesystems.com and get your Gorder on.
Get your gourd on. The new system from Doghouse.
Oh man, get your order on. Which would normally bring us to Quickfire News, but obviously we're skipping that tonight because we are doing our Game of the Year wrap-up for those of you just joining us. So, Trainwreck of the Year, which is actually very similar for me to Newsmaker of the Year, because seriously, SimCity, what the fuck were you doing? Normally I try to watch my language on this show, but that deserves an F-bomb. What was that?
I got mine. I used mine, and you used yours. So we're all due up. We got to use bitch, bastard, and shit from now on. The BBS. Yeah, SimCity. Again, we're agreeing, but again, we're agreeing on something that was just so terrible. And this was my first SimCity game, and I was like, oh, everyone's so excited. And, you couldn't even log in. It never worked. They disabled features, and it's still this game installed on my hard drive that's ugh.
I haven't touched it. I played it or tried to play it and wrote a review of the first half of it for Doghouse. And I tried for the first 2 weeks and gave up and never went back. I was just like, you know what? Screw you. I paid full price for the game, pre-ordered it. I was so excited, and then ended up not even being able to play for so long, and just it felt like you were beta testing and stress testing and everything else, but it was supposed to be their actual legitimate release of the game. It was so horrible, so bad. And I mean, I was thinking, I'm glad that we agree, because at first I kind of thought, well, maybe I'm being too hard on SimCity. Maybe it's because my expectations were so high, because I love sim games, whether it's The Sims, SimCity, you know, Civilizations, whatever, all of that kind of stuff. It just, I love it. It's so much fun. So my expectations were really high. I went back to our Game of the Year episode notes from last year, and it was my most highly anticipated title for last year. So
it was.
It was. So it was, yeah, I was kind of flipping back and forth between BioShock Infinite and SimCity for my most highly anticipated title. So my expectations for it were huge, and it didn't even come close to living. It wasn't even a smooth launch. Like, it wasn't even if I had no expectations, it still wouldn't have lived up to anything, because it wasn't even a game.
Yeah, it was tough for me, and that free game that they gave away was sort of like too little, too late, and I again, I have that game sitting on my hard drive.
I have that game, which I can't even. I think I ended up getting Dead Space, but again, the free games that they offered, there are EA titles that I would have been interested in, and none of them were the ones that were offered as free games. Like, I literally looked at that list and went, either I already own it or I don't want it. So, F you right in the face, EA. Right in the face.
EA is just having this weird year where SimCity just started to recover, and you know, it's near the end of the year. Everyone's forgot about SimCity. Hell, maybe the second or third expansion will actually sell well for it. But now they're with Battlefield 4, and they're having the same problem where it's not working. Matches are dropping. Connectivity is just awful, and it really makes you wonder, like, when does this stop, or when do we start giving companies like legitimate shit for this stuff? Because it's really like, with SimCity, was kind of like the first time it went truly bad. They gave us the free game, and then we just, you know, we were like, whatever. But we need this to stop. You know,
Absolutely.
It's awful.
And I think it definitely will get to a point where we just say, okay, as consumers, we're not buying the next SimCity. Like, if they come out with another SimCity, no one's gonna buy it. The Battlefield people, maybe they're finally just like, okay, you know what? If you can't even bother to keep your servers up, then I'm just going to go buy Call of Duty instead, because it comes out the same time every year. So I'm just going to switch. You know, at least Call of Duty can keep their servers up. So, I mean, maybe it's going to get to the point where, you know, EA just keeps releasing these terrible, terrible games with their required servers, whether that is for multiplayer or whatever else. And people are just going to go, well, no, if it's EA and it's server based, screw that. Like, there's no way I'm buying it day one. There's no way I'm playing it, you know, at peak hours or anything like that. So I'm just going to wait till it goes 75% off, and then maybe I'll check it out. And I think that when that happens, there will be some significant changes at EA. But until then, yeah, we have to vote with our dollars, people. So just no more buying things from EA.
Exactly.
So our next category is Indie Darling of the Year, which was super easy for me, and I'm sure it was super easy for you too, because we picked the same thing, and it's Gone Home. And again, you can go back to, I think, episode 103, and that's our spoiler cast of Gone Home, where we go really crazy into detail about what it is that we loved, the parts of the story that were great, what we felt about it, and how the controls worked, and just everything that you want to know about Gone Home is in our spoiler cast. So I don't really know if we need to go too much into this. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, the reason it was just a for sure pick, I'm sure, for both of us, is that everybody adopted it as the indie darling. You know, it came out and instantly everyone's defensive about it. Like, it's $20, it's a new experience, and everyone's like, no, just try it. It's worth the $20. The developers were even saying, you know, I know it's $20. It'll go on sale eventually. Just play it. Wait till it goes on sale and play it. Like, everybody was on that game's side. And if you weren't, you were. It was kind of like you were proven wrong, or you were just a dick. I mean, like, seriously, it was just it was the indie darling of the year, and like, really nothing else came close, because everyone just latched onto that game.
Absolutely. So our next one is On the Go Game of the Year, which I think last year was Mobile Game of the Year, but I think I was struggling with this, because I was automatically thinking a 3DS game, and then I was like, well, is that a mobile game? Is that, you know, is it fair to compare like iPod, iPad, iPhone games to something like that's a console in your hands. Like, I just didn't know if it was fair. And then I thought, yeah, screw it, on the go. That works. So for me, it is Zelda.
Yeah. No, I figured this category was nice to give, credit to games that were just really easy, fun, zero barrier playing wherever you were.
Mm-hmm.
Like couch, bus, standing awkwardly in the middle of a mall. I don't know. Whatever.
I definitely, I've been playing my 3DS everywhere, although it's getting really beat up, and I'm so sad because
Aw.
the gold, it's not actually like gold plastic, it's like a gold paint on top of the 3DS,
Oh.
on top of a white 3DS. So even just like where I open and close it on the hinges, all the gold is rubbed off. And so
Ah.
I had my 3DS on its own in the kind of side pocket of my bag, which is where I keep it because it zips up and nothing else goes in there and everything else. And I had a book on the other side of the fabric. And the book, I guess, was when I was walking, because the 3DS was right on my hip and then the book was next to it. And I guess the book was rubbing back and forth or something. And so now all the gold paint is off the front of my 3DS.
Oh, that's
Not
kind
all of it, but enough that I look at it now and I'm like, oh. And it's only
Yeah.
from November. I'm so sad. I just noticed it today. I'm so sad. So it's my
That
Zelda
sucks.
3DS.
So you gave the award
But I
to
still,
your 3DS.
I did. I did give it to Zelda, yeah.
No, that's good.
And again,
that would've been-
we do have John. I'm not going to go way into Zelda because we do have John coming on in 2 weeks, and I will have beat the game by then because I wasn't all the way through it. So I will beat the game by the time John comes on. We will do a full spoiler cast in 2 weeks' time. So that'll be episode 107 with John Marstall, Icon Master on Twitter. And if you haven't listened to episode 15, so it's been almost 100 episodes since we had John on, which seems insane. But yeah, John will be coming on. Go back and listen to episode 15 because it's fabulous. We totally dissect not only Skyward Sword, but everything to do with the Zelda series and everything that's wrong in the Zelda series or was wrong in the Zelda series at the time. You guys should definitely go back and take a listen to that one. So do you want to go into your pick?
Yeah, so I picked Animal Crossing New Leaf. Usually when it comes to this category, I try to pick a game that, like, as soon as I think of mobile, on the go, whatever, addicting, whatever pops into my head and whatever has the longest staying power. And huge fan of Animal Crossing. And when it came out in June, I've literally been like just picking away at it for the last 6 months. And it's been my go-to game, on lunch breaks, while I'm waiting on the couch for, either Ashley gets home an hour after I do and I have some time to kill. It's a game that you could jump into for 15 minutes, check your in-game mail, collect some fruit, whatever, and jump out. Or it's a game you can sit there and play for hours and just, like we talked about it was sort of like simulated chores, but it's addicting, and the events make it even more cool because again it gives you another reason to check in every once in a while for 15 minutes at a time. And super portable, save wherever you want, in, out, bada bing, bada bing, great, just like Zelda. Save at a good sort of pace. You can't save wherever you want. That's usually my my go-to checkbox when it has to come to mobile. Can I save wherever I want? Because if I can't, I'm not going to play it on the go.
That's true. I mean, there's so many different factors that can say, like, you might, now I'm at my bus stop, so I have to go. What I find with the 3DS is that even though I can't save, I can just close the 3DS and it pauses, and then I can just pick it up again. So as long as I'm not looking to switch between applications or games, I find that just closing the 3DS and putting it to sleep is enough for me. I don't need the constant save. But there's definitely other games where I'm like, oh, yeah, like I had to stop, and, pausing the game made me lose content or, lose progress or whatever. So I can definitely see how that would be I think I've said definitely about 18 times in the last, hour. But anyways.
You've had a long week.
I have had a long week. I am exhausted. I feel like I say that a lot. I've had a long week. I work a lot. I need to work less.
Well, you have a show Friday at 8:30, 9:30 for you. It's late. You've been through a lot of stuff. So
I haven't even
don't
had dinner yet.
Well, geez, make me feel like Mr. Guilty Pants over here.
So yeah, those are our mobile games of the year. We have 5 more categories that we're going to talk about. So I think we're going to go through them pretty quick because,
Sure.
yeah, we're running a little bit long, which I knew we would, but yeah, we're going to, I think, go through these a little bit quicker. So, character of the year. Ryan,
Mhm.
who did you pick?
I went with Joel from The Last of Us,
So,
and
Last of Us is a title that I didn't
mhm.
pick, or I didn't play. So, how I think we did talk about it. I can't remember what episode it was, but what makes him so much different than any other character you played this year? Like, what made him really stand out for you?
Well, I mean, first off, I he made it to the top of the list above others because he was a new character, and you don't see that very often. And also he was layered, and he changes throughout the story of the game, and he does things that you wouldn't really expect in a title like The Last of Us, or but he's just very dynamic, and you care for him, yet he still does these awful things, or he did awful things, and he's just trying to survive, but also take care of this little girl, and the things that just happen to this guy throughout the game, it's and I don't want to spoil it because again,
Well,
it's
yeah.
it's something everybody should play. But yeah, no, he really, he was probably the best part about that game. I mean,
Mm,
I would have picked the girl in the game as well, Ellie, but I just felt like Joel was really the character in that game that was above. And the voice
mm,
acting and Naughty Dog's motion capture technology just makes that character even better.
right.
So that's why, really, yeah. Who did you pick? Who did you pick? I thought we were
um,
trying to go quick here. Come on.
For me, I picked Kerrigan from StarCraft 2, and
Mm,
with I picked her this year because even though it's an expansion or whatever you want to call Heart of the Swarm, I mean the story was really all about her and her journey because at the end of Wings of Liberty, spoilers if you haven't played StarCraft, you should go play StarCraft and you should play the single player campaign because the story is fabulous, especially considering that it's a real-time strategy game. Blizzard really went above and beyond in terms of story. So and
yeah.
it was literally this close between Heart of the Swarm and Bioshock Infinite for story for me this year. But yeah,
Mm,
they just go the extra mile. The cinematics are great, and it all focuses on Kerrigan and her journey from being turned in back into a human at the end of Wings of Liberty, and then what she has to struggle with, thinking that she loses Jim right near the beginning of Heart of the Swarm, and what she has to go through, and the transformations of her character from like in order to try to fight Manx and get Jim back. So it's this really interesting um, journey for her from
mm,
like kind of being weakened and brought back to her human state all the way back up to being a powerful savior of the universe type character. And I mean, she just transforms so much between the start of Wings of Liberty through to the end of Heart of the Swarm that I loved it. It was amazing. So Kerrigan,
yeah.
hands down for me.
That's a really good pick because you're right. Even though she's an older character, like Heart of the Swarm was really her story, and she went through a lot in
Mm-hmm.
that game.
Absolutely. Which kind of brings us quite well into old game of the year. So for this category, we picked a game that we played in 2013, but that did not come out in 2013, so 2012 or earlier. So for me, I wasn't really sure because most of the things that I played a lot of indie titles, I played a lot of mobile
Hmm.
titles, other than WoW, which I don't really want to pick because even though it was new to me, it's so old that it's definitely not something that. Although I would recommend that if you haven't ever played WoW, that Warlords of Draenor, which is the new expansion coming out in 2014, would be one that where you really should jump in because you can get a level 90 character when you buy the expansion, which means you don't have to play through all the old content. You can just jump right in with your friends, play the level 90 to 100 content. If you haven't played WoW, it's going to be a good time to do it. So, but I mean, everyone else, I think, for the most part, has played WoW, so I don't really want to say that one. Borderlands 2 did come out in 2012, but it was so close to 2012, 2013 that, again, I don't know if it really counts. So I think I have to go with Red Dead Redemption, because that, for me, I had never played before 2013. I put a lot of hours into it. I haven't finished it, but it would probably be my old game of the year.
That's a good one.
What about you?
I went with Dishonored. It's a title that it was actually the game that I missed from last year. That I picked last year.
Right. I own it, but I haven't played it yet. It's sitting in my Steam library from at least the summer sale, if not before that.
It was a title that went on sale frequently, and I played through the whole thing, and it's different. It was a lot of fun. I'm not really into the stealth action games, but this one sort of, like, I did the stealth path in the game, so that was really surprising. And the DLC wasn't that great, but I still played through it. It was interesting.
I keep getting it confused with Defiance. And although Defiance was pretty good, I mean, the only time I've ever played is that little bit that we played and streamed. I can't remember. That was back in the spring, I think. But I keep looking at Dishonored and going, that was kind of better with friends. I don't really want to play it. And then I get playing something else and I'm like, oh, no, wait, Dishonored. That's not Defiance. That's not the same thing. So I do want to give Dishonored a shot, and I will now that I see that it was definitely one of the ones that you enjoyed. And there's definitely, again, we should get some kind of drinking game going here.
Definitely. No, yeah, Dishonored's great, and man, they have the Game of the Year edition out now, so people who don't own it have no excuse. They should go out and get it for sure. Yeah.
So that brings us to our third last category. This is the 2013 game that you wished that you had played. So for me, obviously, it's The Last of Us. I think that is just kind of a go-to thing. I mean, so many people picked it for Game of the Year. I've heard so many good things. I really want to play it, and it looks like it would be a lot of fun from everything that you've told me over the last few months. The only reason that I haven't played it is because it's a PlayStation title, and I don't own a PlayStation, so...
Yeah, and I mean, if you're still waffling on the next-gen system, you could probably, safe bet, go with the PS4. They just announced PlayStation Now. You could stream Last of Us, even though it's a PS3 game, and play it on your PS4, and I think that might be the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and that was definitely going to... Oh, my God. I'm going to have to, like, grab a thesaurus or something. The Last of Us is a game that makes me want to get a PlayStation. That is where a lot of titles, like, I mean, there's Last of Us, there's the Uncharted series, the Infamous series. All of these are things that I really want to pick up and play. The only thing that's pulling me over towards the Xbox is that Project Spark, but even then, yeah.
It's on PC.
Yeah, there's exactly. So there are a lot of options on the PlayStation, and I think that if I can find a good bundle, it'll probably be about a year from now, but realistically, I would like to get a PS4, and if or when I do, then I will play The Last of Us. What about you? What's your 2013 game that you wish that you played? Were there any that you didn't play in the last year?
This should have been an easy category for me, but I sit here thinking, shit.
I thought you were just trying to be all, like, sneaky, not putting anything in the dock.
There are a few games that I would have liked to play that I didn't play, but I think it was just because they weren't received very well. Like, I mean, there's a couple next gen games that I wanted to play. I mean, let's just go with Dead Rising 3 on the Xbox One. I mean, I didn't get it for obvious reasons because I wasn't crazy and didn't want to buy two next gen systems, but yeah, it looked like that next gen game where you kind of think like, shit, maybe that one would have been, that was sort of the best, the cream of the crop, if you will, of all the next gen games that came out. The only problem was that it was the only one on the Xbox One, and the PS4 just looked like a more attractive package. Yeah. And we all know we're attracted to packages.
I was trying so hard not to giggle. I was like literally biting my tongue. And I was like, no, this is serious Game of the Year episode. Yeah. No laughing at packages.
The next category is serious. But yeah, I feel kind of like an asshole, you know. But next year I'll have one of these, you know. And also this year was quiet. in comparison to other years.
I found that too. When I was looking back
Yeah.
at what I played, I was like, okay, I know that I missed all the next gen stuff because I didn't buy a next gen system. I'm like, I know there was some serious games that I missed, like Tomb Raider, that now I have purchased, but I haven't actually played. But at the same time, I was just like, I feel like there was a couple of times through the year where there was 2 or 3 games that came out at the exact same time, and then there were these like month-long, if not 2-month-long lulls where we just didn't get anything. And I was kind of going back looking at things and going, wow, like it was a pretty quiet year. There were the ones that did come out were fantastic, but there weren't that many releases.
Yeah, the summer was really quiet.
And a lot of stuff got pushed to 2014 with the release of the next gen consoles, so we didn't see nearly as much as we have in previous years. So a Game of the Year was a tough list to put together, I think. Which actually quite nicely brings us to Game of the Year. So neither one of us put one in the doc, and I know I did that to keep mine all sneaky, but right. I don't know. Ryan, do you want to go first or should I go first?
I don't know. I feel like mine's pretty predictable.
All right. Well, you go first then, because I think mine's a little bit less.
I went with The Last of Us.
Totally knew you would. So predictable. Yeah. Better than Walking Dead, though. So, yay, you're getting better.
It's not because it's a zombie game. I just realized that. No. It's not because it's a zombie game. This is sometimes why I think a top 10 list is sometimes good, because you get to include every game that you liked. But then again, top 10 lists are a pain in the ass to build, especially if they're ranked. So my Game of the Year went to The Last of Us because it was just... The game was so gripping. I had to beat it right away. The multiplayer was, it wasn't just serviceable. It was also really good from what I played of it and enjoyed. I'm really looking forward to the DLC when it comes out in the next couple months. And the story was different. It was shocking. It's not the ending with the pretty little bow that everyone would write. Yeah. I mean, it's still a nice bow, and it's a good looking bow, but it's just, it's a different color. It's, it's not really what you would have gone with. And again, like, those characters make you want a sequel so bad, or make you want more DLCs so bad, but it's the type of game where it could literally just exist as a one-shot title, or even if the sequel didn't have the same characters. It's just another great game from Naughty Dog. It's hard to pass that one up.
I will say that even though it came out this year, and I'm fairly certain that you played it, you didn't mention The Walking Dead Episode 2 at all. Or Season 2, or whatever it is. Season 2, Episode 1.
It's funny that you say that, because I never mentioned it on the show at all, and I can't remember if it's because we just haven't had a chance, because it came out so late in December, but... that one, I wouldn't have picked it for Game of the Year. I mean, there was just so many other great games that came out this year. And plus that one's not done yet. So I kind of have to, it's a strong start.
That's true. Last year, Season 1 was already wrapped up by the time we did Game of the Year. But at the same time, like, I find it funny because everybody went absolutely nuts for Walking Dead last year. And this year, this is why I haven't picked it up yet, is because I have not heard a thing. Everyone is just kind of like, yeah, there's a new Walking Dead. You get to play as Clementine. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, and we'll talk about it more next week. Probably I'll try to refresh myself on it, because it's certainly worth playing, but it's, we've experienced the greatness that is The Walking Dead, and this is more great Walking Dead. Yeah.
But not as I don't want to say shocking as last year, but it just, like, last year it kind of came out of nowhere. No one knew what to expect. The story was great, and everyone really liked the game and the art style, and it just blew everybody away. So, yeah, I guess I find it funny. It's really, really interesting. So, so I guess that brings us to my Game of the Year, which
is The Walking Dead. Wait, no.
No.
What is your...
My Game of the Year this year goes to, hands down, StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm.
Oh, wow.
I loved it. And I was thinking, when I was going back through everything that I played, I was just like, you know what? Not only did StarCraft take over my life for the first 5 months of 2013, But
Mm-hmm.
the story of Kerrigan was fantastic. I played through Wings of Liberty. It only took me about 2 weeks because I couldn't put it down. I mean, I even got to the point of like I was watching streams, I was listening to Starcast. Like, I mean, I got StarCraft 2 for Christmas last year and it owned me for 6 months. Like, it was all the way through until Nerdtacular. I just played it all the time. I couldn't get enough. I was bad at it. I was like bronze and silver league, but I still played ladder all the time. Like I played ladder, I played unranked, I played with, you, and I played with other people in like 4v4s and 3v3s. And, I had all these different teams that I was doing 2v2 with and on the ladder. And I played through the campaign. I played through both campaigns multiple times in some cases to get achievements. And I just could not get enough of Heart of the Swarm for the first 6 months of the year. And I was just like, when I was thinking about it, I was like, even though it's an RTS and generally that's not the kind of thing that maybe would get a Game of the Year type award. Usually they go to things with like bigger and better scenery, although the maps in StarCraft 2 are awesome. But, usually they go to things with more of a first person feel that's more immersive and everything else. But I think for me, it was just Heart of the Swarm all the way. And so if anyone hasn't picked up Heart of the Swarm, if anyone hasn't played StarCraft, I'm not a big RTS person. I played the Battle for Middle Earth back in the day. And I really, really liked, but again, it was Lord of the Rings kind of themed. So for me, I really liked that one. But other than that, I hadn't played an RTS before StarCraft 2. So it was relatively easy to get into. The tutorials were easy. As long as you kind of play through the campaign and then play with your friends and played unranked, you'll have a great time in StarCraft. So go check it out if you haven't checked it out. I'm really looking forward to Legacy of the Void. I really can't wait for that. So
that sucks that's so far away.
I know. I couldn't believe BlizzCon. There was no news, and I was just like, oh. I was kind of hoping that we would get something at BlizzCon. But anyways, Heart of the Swarm did just come out, so we gotta give Blizzard some time. It'll be coming. We'll get some news Blizzard soon.
Well, I mean, you see what they did with Diablo. They turned around that expansion pretty quick.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So if they're applying the same pressure, I mean, I think Heart of the Swarm's a different beast. But
you mean Legacy of the Void?
2. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a different beast, and I think they had to describe some issues they were having.
Yes, we did cover that. Yeah.
And I'm itching for that, and at least we're getting a sequel with that one. And The Last of Us, we have a morsel of DLC coming, and that's probably it for a very long time.
Yep.
No, good pick.
Thanks. Yeah, I kind of feel like, I mean, last year I picked Portal 2 over a lot of other titles, and I mean, not that I try to kind of get the unconventional pick, but at the same time I do try to give everything, especially the stuff at the beginning of the year, a little bit of a harder look at how, because it's so easy to forget when you get all these big releases in November, and you've got the Christmas rush, you've got next gen consoles, and everyone's like really, really hyped about things from October through the end of the year. And sometimes you really forget about the stuff that comes out right at the beginning, which is actually what I am most excited about for 2014 is something that's coming out in April, and that is Elder Scrolls Online. It is my most anticipated title. I am so excited. We've got a $15 a month subscription to a game which is fantastic. It is Skyrim with multiplayer, and it is PvP. So bring it, people. I will be in Elder Scrolls day one. I love it and can't wait. Yes.
That is a good pick. I mean, that might be the MMO. Like, there's some great MMOs coming out next spring, and I think one of them, maybe both, are gonna take me and just, let's play an MMO, man. I don't know. It's gonna be tough to pick one.
I'm looking forward to WildStar as well. Joel is crazy into WildStar. Just loves it. Loves the characters, loves the art style, is just always wants to do WildStar Wednesdays and watch all those dev speak videos, and he's way into it. I could take it or leave it. I think it's going to be fun. I like the idea that I don't have to pay for it, that I can play a lot, earn in-game gold, and buy time on the auction house. I'm right behind that, because if I had to pick, I would pick WoW to have my PvE where all my friends are, and I would pick ESO to have my PvP, and WildStar just isn't good enough for me to make it my go-to MMO if I had to pay you know, so I like that they've gone with this kind of mixed thing. But for me, most anticipated Elder Scrolls, hands down. What about you?
Um, I completely forgot about the game I picked for some reason because I had Halo 5 in there for the longest time. And then I realized, wait, we saw a CG trailer where he was wearing a Journey cloak. And we're sitting here with Super Smash Brothers coming out both on Wii U and 3DS.
So
So
does
we could
that
both
mean
enjoy it.
that I'm going to be able to play, if you buy it for Wii U, I'm going to be able to play you if I have it on 3DS? Can we play against each other, or do we have to get it on the same platform?
But no, but it's not cross-platform, but
Of course
I'm
not.
pretty sure I'll probably end up picking it up on both. So we will be able to play it, and it is essentially the same game, but that game is just so um, replayable that I will happily buy it twice. And maybe Nintendo will have some sort of combo deal. I don't know. This is sort of a first for them, and they are doing the daily updates on the Smash Brothers community, and they are just constantly pushing new content for that. Mega Man looks great. The Animal Crossing villager looks crazy alongside the Wii Fit trainer. I mean, those wouldn't be my main characters, but certainly someone fun to try.
Yep.
But no, I am a huge fan of Smash Brothers, and I was kind of sad that I was sitting there today checking Twitter, and they had announced King DDD as a character coming back, and I'm like, what? Smash Brothers? How could I forget this? And it's probably a game Nintendo will delay a bunch and probably won't come out
Probably.
until like late summer, like Pikmin 3. And actually, Pikmin 3 was my most anticipated last year. So
That took
Nintendo,
a
please
long
don't.
time.
It did. It was supposed to come out launch window March, May, summer, August. It's like, come on.
Yeah. For me, I like Smash Brothers a lot. I like Mario Party too. I love those Nintendo mashup ones. So, yeah, I can definitely see how you're looking forward to that. But still, PvP Elder Scrolls wins. You come on, Ryan, get with the program. Which is
Not a big fan of PvP, but I am interested in trying ESO. I don't know anything about it. So that, maybe it could have been my most anticipated, but come on, it's Nintendo. You should know this by now. It's
Yeah,
going to
that's
win by
true.
default.
Yeah, fanboy. So that's actually a really good segue into what we now have to give away, which is an ESO beta stress test key for this weekend. So chat room, we are giving it away to you live. There's, I think, about 10 of you watching right now. So we do have a stress test key. You have to use it this weekend. You have to activate your Bethesda account or ESO online account. There's an account you have to activate. Account.elderscrollsonline.com, and then you can put the stream key or the Steam stress test key, not a Steam. Okay, Ryan, do you want to just take this?
So if you go to if you win, you got to win first. But you go to account.elderscrollsonline.com. You create an account, then you'll activate it, and then you'll log in and add the beta key, and then you'll download a 30 GB file. So you might not be playing tonight because I'm sure a lot of people are doing this. But it is a stress test. It's running until Sunday evening. I'm not sure if it's midnight, but definitely Sunday evening, giving you plenty of time to bash faces, but not tell anybody about it because
Yes.
it is under NDA. Do not get yourself banned.
Yes, Twitch will suspend / delete your account if you stream Elder Scrolls Online. So if you are going to be playing in the stress test, if you win this key, do not stream. So I think what we're going to do is those of you who are listening live in the chat room right now, if you want the Elder Scrolls key, please let us know. Type TGI ESO into the chat and I will pick a winner. So now we have to wait for the lag. Do, 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 do. This is me doing a song because we're waiting for the lag. Do, 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 do. I don't actually know how long this is going to take. So
It could take a while because everyone's like, I think this stress test beta was pretty widespread. I think like everybody was getting in.
I didn't get a freaking key, so don't even start with me.
You didn't want to play anyways. You're waiting. You want to experience it for the freshness.
So, well, and that's true. I mean, I did play a little bit in a press beta, and that was about a month ago. So I'm sure it's more polished than when I played, especially since they're releasing in April. So I don't know, like, yeah.
I'm sure, like, again, there's a lot of keys floating around.
And
so
yeah, I don't want to play anymore because I don't want to ruin the story. I got pretty far, so I want to start fresh when they release. So I totally didn't actually think of a way to pick a winner. So Ryan, you talk for a couple minutes, and then I will find some random something.
Sure. I mean, the Elder Scrolls Online, I don't really know anything about it. All I know is that it looks pretty, and pretty MMOs are hard to come by these days. So
True.
it'll be interesting to see how it runs, first of all, because that game has some pretty high settings, and stress tests are always a good sign, because if the game is coming out in April, I was a little wary as to whether it would actually come out in April. But I was reminded that they did heavily announce that it was coming out April 4th, I think. But, you know, I loved Skyrim. I love the world. And funny enough, this MMO looks to be more polished than Skyrim did, just in the animations and the way things look. The faces don't look messed up. It's probably my favorite part about the Elder Scrolls Online screenshots that I've seen. I can pick a human and not be like, who hit you with a shovel?
So I have 3 entries for the Elder Scrolls stress test key. So what I've done is I've entered them into random.org into the list randomizer in the order that they appeared in the chat room. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomize the list, and whoever pops up at the top of the list is going to have the key sent to them through Twitch right after the end of the show. So here we go. I am clicking randomize. And Bane 1 is our winner. Whoa. So congratulations, Bane 1. I will be sending you the key momentarily, because that brings us to the end of our show. You can visit us on the web at gamersinpodcast.com. You can find us on A-Move TV along with other fabulous podcasts, including Starcast, Campaign Roundtable, Biggest Fan, A-Move Radio, and The Angry Chicken. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find me, Jocelyn, at GIS Gamer. Ryan is at R. Murphy, and don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers Inn. The video versions of all our episodes can be found on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Jocelyn Moffat. You can also find us on Facebook and Google+. If you'd like to email the show and let us know what your picks for Game of the Year are, you can do so at info@gamersinpodcast.com. So before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Greg Moffat for creating our music. You can find him on Twitter at SoundsInfluence. We'd also like to thank Joel Duggan, who does all of our graphic work. You can find him and everything he does at joelduggan.com. So thanks for staying at the Gamers Inn, and remember to tune in next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.